Yesterday at court, the body cam footage of the officer who put the cuffs on YoungBoy back in September during that music video.
Did you hear that YoungBoy was recently seen in a low-security prison, getting ready for his release? His sentence got a second look after some smart work from his lawyer. If you go back to the original court day, things started off pretty wild. A fan hacked into the courtroom and loudly screamed, "Free YoungBoy," before the hearing even began. The fans' support definitely grabbed attention, but the court went on with the case. When YoungBoy walked into the courtroom, he was smiling and laughing. He seemed to think the fans' outburst was funny. As he walked in, he signed a form to say that he understood English and that his education stopped at the 8th grade level. The judge then started reading out the charges against him. The prosecutors said that on March 10, 2021, YoungBoy was arrested for having a firearm as a convicted felon and for having an unregistered firearm. These charges came up after YoungBoy and his crew were filming a music video in a neighborhood. They were playing loud music, dancing on top of cars, and waving guns in the air. A person who lived nearby saw what was going on and called the police. They told the police about the group causing a disturbance and waving firearms. When the police arrived, they arrested YoungBoy, knowing he had a past criminal record. During the arrest, YoungBoy had a strong sense of disbelief. He truly believed that he had done nothing wrong. When the police approached him, he repeatedly expressed his innocence, saying things like, "Big dog, I did nothing," and "You can search me, I got nothing on me." To him, the situation seemed like a misunderstanding. He thought that simply filming a music video in his neighborhood, with loud music and his crew dancing on top of cars, should not lead to any legal trouble. He did not seem to realize the gravity of what he was involved in. The video, although celebratory and typical of the hip-hop culture, had firearms in it, which would prove to be a serious issue, especially for someone with a past like his. As YoungBoy stood there, he probably felt as though the whole situation was just an overreaction by the authorities. After all, it was just a video, and his intentions were purely artistic, not criminal. He might have thought that the guns were just props, or that the police would not see it as anything more than a fun shoot for a music video. He was used to the high-energy, rebellious nature of his music, and he probably thought the police would understand that as part of his public persona. But what YoungBoy didn't take into account was his criminal history. As a convicted felon, any possession of a firearm was a serious violation of the law. Even though he may have felt justified in carrying weapons as part of his image or his environment, the law saw it differently. The fact that he was filming a video with firearms, especially in the hands of people with criminal records, made the whole situation more dangerous, both for him and for those around him. The police officers, fully aware of his past, were not about to let the situation slide. They knew that someone with a history like YoungBoy's should not be holding or displaying firearms in public, regardless of the context or the reason for doing so. Despite his insistence, YoungBoy's actions were a violation of the law, and he had to face the consequences of that. The officers did not care about his personal feelings on the matter. They had a job to do, and they followed through with the arrest. YoungBoy's reaction, claiming that he had nothing on him and had done nothing wrong, showed his lack of awareness about the severity of his actions. He seemed to have underestimated how seriously the law would take his behavior. This situation highlights the complexity of living with a criminal history while trying to maintain a public persona. For YoungBoy, being a convicted felon meant that the things he did, no matter how innocent they seemed to him, were viewed through a much stricter lens. It also reflects how the consequences of past actions can carry through into the future, especially when one is in the public eye. For him, this arrest served as a stark reminder of the weight his past decisions had on his present life and career. Despite his fame, he was not exempt from the law, and he would have to pay for his actions. YoungBoy's case really shows how tough the laws can be, especially for young people who grow up in difficult neighborhoods. These laws seem to be especially harsh on people like him, and it is unfair how they punish them so severely. We need to really think about how these laws are being used in situations like his. When the police were arresting him, the cameraman knew that YoungBoy could not be caught with a gun. So, He tried to delete the video before the police could get it. Unfortunately, he did not finish deleting it before the police took the camera. The police ended up with clear footage showing YoungBoy holding the firearms. Even though YoungBoy is a convicted felon, his lawyer tried to argue that the police took the camera in a wrong way and the video should not be allowed in court. But unfortunately for YoungBoy, this argument did not work. The court decided that the footage could be used against him. This was a big setback for YoungBoy, as it gave the prosecutors strong evidence to convict him.
Federal appeals court, he can take it up to the Supreme Court. What happened? So, the federal judge, the lower court, ruled in his favor.
The court first decided in favor of YoungBoy, saying that the video showing him holding what looked like a gun could not be used against him in court. They believed the police had taken the video in a way that went against his rights. But the government did not agree with this decision. They took the case to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. This court ruled differently. They said the evidence could be used, which allowed the government to keep moving forward with the case. Now, YoungBoy has a few choices. One choice is to ask the Supreme Court to look at the case. It is likely that his legal team will try this option. Another choice is to try and make a deal with the government. Since YoungBoy has already spent almost a year in jail and on house arrest, the government might agree to a deal where he serves less time. His final option is to take the case to trial and try to win the case against the government. He has beaten the government in a case before, so this is always an option. In the courtroom, things got emotional when the judge spoke about YoungBoy. The judge talked about how people with a lot of talent, like YoungBoy, can lose their potential because they struggle with problems like addiction. The judge told YoungBoy that he hopes after serving his time, he can turn things around and be successful. The judge wished him the best for the future, hoping he would use his talents and live a better life. After the sentencing, YoungBoy's lawyer gave an update to his fans. He told them that the case had finally been finished. YoungBoy received a sentence of 23 months in prison. However, because of time served, he may not have to spend the full 23 months in jail. His lawyer was glad the case had come to an end, even though it had been a difficult process. In another case in Louisiana, it seemed like YoungBoy's release would come much sooner than expected. His jail records showed that his release date was set for July 27, 2025. This made his release much closer than many had thought. Then, on March 3rd, Rich the Kid did an interview with academics where they both agreed that YoungBoy would be getting out very soon. Rich said, "Hip-hop really needs YB. He has to stay out of jail. Fans are waiting for his music, just be patient." However, it seems like YoungBoy will not be free for too long. A lawyer explained that he still has another case to deal with. He is wanted for missing a court date for a different case in another state. Since this case involves a different state, the FBI got involved. They started watching YoungBoy's Louisiana home. After hours of waiting, YoungBoy finally left his house and got into his car. The FBI followed him as he drove onto the highway. They turned on their sirens to tell him to pull over. At first, YoungBoy stopped, but when the officer walked toward his car, he quickly drove away. The chase continued until he hit heavy traffic. This made him leave the highway and drive on regular streets. After getting some distance from the police, YoungBoy decided to jump out of his car and run on foot. This was probably a bad choice. He was wearing designer shoes, skinny jeans, a jacket, and chains, definitely not the best outfit for running. As the police closed in, YoungBoy ran into a fan's backyard. The fan saw him and began taking pictures as YoungBoy tried to escape with the officer close behind. Unfortunately for YoungBoy, the chase ended soon after. The police and K-9 units quickly caught up with him, and that was the end of his run. The authorities were ready to talk to him and handle the situation. YoungBoy found himself in serious trouble after a chase where he was speeding and resisting arrest, along with other charges. The judge did not go easy on him. However, because of the fortune YoungBoy made for himself, he was able to bond out of jail. He paid a $540,000 bond by putting up $500,000 in cash. On top of that, he offered 2 properties worth more than $1.5 million as collateral. He had to wear an ankle monitor, but he did not have to stay at home. The judge in California decided that as long as he wore the ankle monitor, he could move around freely. This raised a question. If the judge in California thought that these conditions were enough, why would a judge in Louisiana make a different decision? Both judges looked at the same facts and charges, and they were using the same federal law. While laws may be applied a little differently from state to state, it would be very strange for a judge in Louisiana to say no amount of money or restrictions would be enough. It is very likely that the Louisiana judge will release YoungBoy, especially after what the judge in California decided. Even though YoungBoy has a long criminal history, it is surprising that he only received 23 months for the firearms case. Normally, prosecutors like to target famous people in an attempt to warn others not to make the same mistakes. But in YoungBoy's case, things could have been much worse. Now that he has served some time and paid his bond, he has a chance to move forward with his life. YoungBoy's story has sadly shown a downward spiral over the years. When he first started his career, he seemed to get along with other rappers. But as time passed and the spotlight on him grew, his behavior started to change for the worse. He began to create drama with other artists and share aggressive and sometimes even damaging lyrics in his songs. When YoungBoy got arrested after the high-speed chase, rapper NL Choppa released a song called Free YoungBoy in support. But things quickly changed. Choppa stopped supporting YoungBoy after he started dissing rappers who had passed away, especially King Von. In 2022, YoungBoy dropped a song called Bring the Hook, and it got a lot of reactions from the rap world. DJ Academics even tweeted, saying, "YoungBoy is on demon time right now." But Lil Reese disagreed with that idea, saying it was just normal rapping like many other rappers do. He defended King Von and criticized YoungBoy's actions. Choppa agreed with Lil Reese and made it clear he did not like the disrespect that YoungBoy was showing. As YoungBoy's feuds became more serious, he called out rapper NL Choppa in one of his songs, saying, "I bet your mom would be destroyed when we send you to God for making statements choosing sides about my beef with them boys." Choppa responded by saying he wasn't trying to defend himself from YoungBoy's words, but just wanted peace. He even spoke about the issue with DJ Vlad, saying he no longer had a problem with YoungBoy and that it was all just entertainment. However, Choppa also warned YoungBoy on The Breakfast Club, telling him to be more careful. He said YoungBoy should set a better example for others and focus on his music, instead of staying in trouble. This fight with Choppa was just one example of how YoungBoy kept creating problems with other rappers. One of his earlier relationships was with Jay Youngin, and the two even made a song together called Up With Me. At first, Jay praised YoungBoy, saying, "Me and YoungBoy will make music together." I'm a fan of his music. But like with others, the relationship soon fell apart. YoungBoy's anger led him to pick fights with more and more people, and it seemed like his drama never stopped. YoungBoy and Jay Youngin once planned to make music together. They were excited about representing their state and creating something amazing. Both of them thought their collaboration would be one of the best in rap. But everything changed when Jay made a mistake. He posted an unreleased song by YoungBoy on Instagram. YoungBoy did not like this at all. He quickly commented, "Delete this now. I do not know how you even got my song. I do not mess around like that." It seemed like Jay did not mean any harm, but YoungBoy reacted very strongly. Even though YoungBoy was upset, Jay did not back down. He stood his ground and said, "I am real and I stand on everything. No one is going to disrespect me." Jay even made a song where he dissed YoungBoy. In the song, 38K, Jay rapped, "You put that comment on my post. They laughed about that, but I was laughing when your baby mama was on me." Things got worse when it came out that Jay had been spending time with one of YoungBoy's baby mamas. This made the beef even more personal. The situation became more serious when, not long after, Jay was shot outside his family's home. It is still unclear who was behind the shooting, but months before, YoungBoy had posted a video that seemed like a warning. He said, "You be hiding, we real headhunters, man. Come on, man. Open they mouth. Came to what they was, man." This turned their rivalry into something much darker, moving beyond just music and getting very personal.